Hello there and welcome back to the channel. We're today going to be talking about Spurs versus Chelsea, big preview for the Monday night football where Poch returns to his former side in what can only be described as a pivotal match in the season for both teams. Spurs pushing to continue their unbeaten run, Chelsea hoping to overturn what has been a really bad run of form, especially when we've got a really tough set of games coming up. Now, I've got 4 ways that I think we can beat Spurs. I'm going to go through them. And well, I want you to stick around because I think the last one is pretty mad. If you aren't already, please do subscribe, like the video if you like it. And now let's get into the first reason, which is all about exploiting the wings. Spurs are known for having very good attacking fullbacks. The one that's interesting for me is Destiny Udogie, their left back. I would say probably their best defender in that back four. If you're looking across their performances, their form so far this season, Romero's up there, but I like Udogie. I think he's very, very good. He looks like he's a 50-50 chance to play in this game. Now, that's good for Chelsea. It means that one of their best outlets on the left-hand side, a guy that's been playing very well for them, isn't going to be in the team. Now, they got a backup, Ben Davies. He's the other left-back option for them. He also seems like he's unfit. He's got like an ankle problem by the sound of it, so he might not be playing. Then you've got Emerson Royale, who's going to be filling in. He's a right back, going to be filling in at left back. And then you've got Pedro Porro on the other side, on the right-hand side. He's played 9 games this season. He's got a very, very good rating so far. SofaScore do their ratings every week, and they've given him a 7.16 overall this season. That's very, very solid from him. But I do think he's going to be a bit more of an attacking threat as opposed to a defensive threat. So what I think that means for Chelsea is that we're going to be looking to exploit those fullback areas. The way they play is really by inverting the fullbacks. And you look at the graphic on screen now, you can see how that sort of looks in game. You can see Basuma kind of is the pivot and the holding role, and then you've got the 2 wing backs sort of going in and around him. Now, Udogie's been absolutely brilliant with that, and he's been coming in play. Sometimes does look like a midfielder there. And Pedro Porro feels to me like he wants to be high and wide, but the way that they're setting up there is how they play majority of time. Now, I think we can really expose that, and I think this is something that we can really get our head around here, because we've got 2 very, very good fast wingers, and I think the ones that are going to be starting for us is Sterling and Mudryk, right? They've got the pace, they can dribble past defenders very, very quickly, and I think we can maximise those boys in their positions. The way that I would do that is quite simple. I push them really, really high. I get them as far high and wide up the pitch as we possibly can. If we do that, we can really sort of like pin back their sort of like inverted system. They won't be able to come into the middle of the pitch, and that's what they want to be doing. They want to be overloading that middle area and trying to boss our midfield. We need to do quick passes diagonally and get it through. I'm looking at people like Enzo, I'm looking at people like Caicedo, Colwell even, and I want them to be picking up the ball and distributing it incredibly quickly over the Tottenham defence and into those wide positions, because if we can get the ball pretty quickly back into the box, and hopefully we can score some goals from the crosses. Another thing they're going to be doing very aggressively with us is trying to press us high up the pitch. They know that they can get into our defenders, into our goalkeeper, and they can try and put them under pressure. We do it, and they're going to try and do it against us as well. Like, all of the top teams now are trying to press very, very highly, and I think it makes sense, it works. I'll tell you what I'm most scared about is the pressure that's going to be on Sanchez. Like, you've seen how much heat this guy gets from our own fans, let alone opposition players, and I think this game is going to have to be where he's very, very composed. Like, I was looking at some of the stats against Arsenal, and there's some of the heat maps here that you can see on screen now. He was actually passing it longer than I thought he was, and to be honest with you, he wasn't really connecting with his passes. 58% pass completion as a goalkeeper, it's just not good enough, and you can understand why the coaches were then saying to him, play it short, and then obviously he made the mistake. You look at the Brentford game, it's very different. He's then going and playing long balls more and more often, and I think against Spurs he's going to have to do more of those long passes, because if he doesn't, they're going to push and press us, and he might make another mistake, and I really don't want us to do that again. But I tell you what, if we do break the lines and he does get some of those long balls forward, then we're in. Like, they're going to be so high up, we're going to be high and wide, hopefully, as I said in the first point, so we will get space and we will be able to run into them. And let's be honest, that's where our attackers are at best, when they got the ball either in front of them or with space to run into, and then they can make chances. So I think that's a key area of the pressing game that we need to focus on. The next thing that I want to talk about is the midfield battle, and we know that there's one key guy that we've got to watch out here. It's James Maddison. He has been playing absolutely brilliant for Ange and the Spurs team. You see him, he picks up the ball anywhere on the pitch, to be fair. I've seen him pick up the ball in the defensive positions, between the centre backs, wing back areas, in the middle of midfield, on a wing. Like, he's all all over the place. And in fact, it reminds me actually a bit of Cole Palmer and the way he's been playing for Chelsea. They're quite similar actually in the way that they pick up the ball and move it forward and try and make space. And they're both very, very intelligent players. But going back to Maddison, I think he's had, an immense year so far. He's had 3 goals, 5 assists. He's created 6 big chances. And he's got an 85% pass success rate, which is just immense for a midfielder, an attacking midfielder at that. So we've got to think about how we're going to deal with this guy. And I don't really think you can man mark him, because if you do, he's just going to draw players out. And I think he'll basically just pass it around you. I think he's that good. So for me, it's about mitigating the passes from Maddison. So it's either sort of going to press him, making sure that he doesn't pass it, but also what he's so good at? He's good at that one-touch play. So we need to sort of watch the passes off of Maddison and prevent those passing lanes. If we can do that, then I think we do sort of stop the threat of Maddison. It's not all about sort of stopping him. It's about what can we do? How can we pull him out of the positions that he wants to be in? And I think we know how we're going to set out, right? It's going to be Caicedo and Enzo next to each other, and it'll be Gallagher pushing up through. Gallagher will effectively form that 4-2-4 system. So Gallagher will be in the middle with Cole Palmer. We saw that against Arsenal, and I think that will be the sort of the same thing. Gallagher will go and press, Palmer will drop in, and vice versa. I liked how fluid that system was. And you've got to talk about that, haven't you? It's about free and rotational football. It's about zonal play. It's not about sort of strict positions. And against teams like Tottenham and Arsenal that we played, Liverpool, it's all about fluid systems and making sure, if you're in a particular area, you know what you're doing. And so that's where the coaches have got to be drilling that in, and I'm sure they've been doing that all week. And what I would be saying to our midfielders and Sterling and Mudryk, the wingers, is that we can't rely too much on physicality here. You look at their lineup and you look at Basuma and Sarr in the middle of midfield, they're going to outrun us every day of the week. They're immense, they're strong, they're powerful. We know what the qualities that they bring. So we can't, out-muscle them. I'll tell you what we can do, though, is we can out-pass them. We can move them around. We can make sure that they're in areas that they're not meant to be in. And if we do that, then we will sort of get some joy there in the middle of midfield. So that's the way that I would sort of do that. I'll tell you what the other thing that I'd mention is verticality. If we can't play through the lines because of those boys and how well they're breaking it up, then again we just have to go long. We saw it with the diagonal passing that I was talking about in one of the earlier points, but there's nothing wrong with that. Go long, find Palmer through the middle, find the wingers and get the ball forward, because we might just have to bypass the midfield in certain occurrences against Spurs. And my last point is about getting bodies in the box. I think it's quite likely that Jackson doesn't start the game against Spurs. He needs to be dropped, doesn't he? He just isn't converting the chances. He didn't look anywhere near it against Brentford. So I think it's quite realistic to say that he won't start the game against Spurs. And while Spurs have been great at the back, you could argue they're probably more inexperienced than we are with our sort of lineup. When you look at Thiago Silva, Levi Colwell's been immense in the Premier League before with Brighton as well. So, they're gettable there. I'm not saying they aren't brilliant, but they're definitely gettable. So I think we need to pile on the pressure early and try our best to get an early goal. And I think I want to be learning some lessons from Pep Guardiola here and the way that he makes sure that there's players in the final third. I don't think we've been doing that at all. And you look at the way that Pep does it. I've got a graphic on screen now. He's got 5 lines, 5 zones that he sort of wants his players to sort of occupy, right? And he does that with every attacking move. And we never do that. So the way that I want our players to set up is I almost want Mudryk to be high and wide, Gallagher to fill that middle area, Palmer to be the central figure. Then you've got Sterling, who then inverts and gets closer to Palmer. Then you can have Reece James on the right hand side pushing right up. I think if we do that, then we've got very good chances to score goals in this game. But we need to get it early. If we don't, it will get a bit more nervous, and I think that will be where our heads start to drop. So we need to get that goal early. I think that's key. I think we're going to need to get players in and around the box to score the goals. But look, this is just my opinion. I want to know what you think and how you would set up the team. Would you play the attack in the way that I've just set that up? And also, generally, what do you think of the game? Do you think we can get a win out of this? Is a draw a good result? I'm really interested to see what you guys think. So let me know in the comments below. For me, I'm sort of head and heart here. My head is trying to be really realistic. My heart says, yeah, we could win the game. I think I'm going to go with my head on this one, and I think I will go for a 1-1 draw. I think that would be a good result away against Tottenham. So let's see how the game unfolds. Joey and I are going to be watching it together, and I want as many of you there as possible. So we're going to be watching it on the kickoff live from 7:30 on Monday night. Please do make sure you watch it, and if you do, let me know in the comments. I'd love to see as many of you there. It'd be a really, really good show. Hopefully we can win. And if you made it this far and you want to support me, click the link in the description below. That will take you straight to Aveste Apparel, my clothing brand. There's two things that I wanted to shout out here. One is a Solace cardigan. It looks absolutely brilliant. I love this one. All this tea from Tropic Goods, I think you'll absolutely love that. It's got the Chelsea blue in there. I think it looks absolutely brilliant. And yeah, I think I'll leave the video there. Thank you so much for watching. If you aren't already, please do subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.